Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week 10 of the semester, and I hope that all of you are doing well and fine. So, in this week's class, we will be doing the following. Okay, so in our to do lists, we have our Zoom based lecture session, which is what we're doing at the moment. Together with the lecture, you have your lecture based quiz that you are to attempt as well. Moreover, okay, you have your tutorial questions that needs to be answered and the case study questions that will be discussed in the tutorial class. So that's all that we will be doing for the week. Also, by the end of the week, most likely by Friday, your very last assessment, the research project with the presentation will be also uploaded in Moodle, and it'll be due somewhere in week 14. By the way, we are in week 10 of this semester. Okay. Now, yesterday I had already uploaded your marks for the critic one writing, okay, your assessment one critic writing, and it carried 5% towards your coursework. You should be able to access your mark on Moodle by clicking on the grade section. So as soon as you will click on grades, you should be able to see all your marks accordingly. Now, I have listed down comments as to why you have been awarded such marks and what went wrong where, or what things you have not done it properly. I have put it down in comments, but should you need any further question, should you have any further questions, or would you have any queries about it, feel free to drop me an email, or you can always drop me a message on Moodle. Okay. Now, also, if you look at your grade section, you'll see right at the very bottom. Now, I won't be able to show it because it will show individual student marks, which I do not want to show on a collaborative forum. So you can do it yourself. Click on grades, look at the total right at the very bottom. That's your total mark out of 27.5%. Okay, so that means if you have a mark somewhere around 17 and below, you are at the moment failing your CRN 708 course. If you have a mark somewhere around 17.5 and above, so you are well in the passing stage for CRN 708. Okay, so if you are one of them who is at the failing stage, see what you have not yet attempted. Now, there are many of you who have not yet attempted your week 1 to week 6 lecture-based quizzes. Please do attempt them. They carry significant amount of marks. They carry 1% towards your coursework. Okay, so please ensure to go and attempt those. Now, is there any questions or any queries? Any questions, any queries? None? If there's no questions or queries, we'll directly go and hop into our lecture notes. Okay, and this week we will be looking at mobile networks. Okay, or networks basically that is used in mobile businesses. So overall, for lecture 7, we will be looking at connectivity, the business value of a networked world. That means we will go and have an overview of the connected world. We look at the benefits of what happens when a world is connected, and moreover, we'll be looking at some of the challenges of a connected world. Section 7.2, we'll be looking at mobility. Mobility means something that is able to move. So most likely in terms of network, we're looking at wireless networks. And in mobility, the business value of a wireless world. So in it, we'll be covering up the different types of wireless network categories. We will also go and look at business applications for wireless networks. We look at the benefits and the challenges of business mobility. Overall, this is going to be an interesting set of lecture notes and very simple to understand, provided you are able to understand or you are able to pay a keen attention. Okay, and also just to note, these are some of the things that we use and we practice in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so let's go and try to connect it up. Now in section 7.1, okay, we'll be looking at connectivity. The word connectivity means how you generally go and interact with one another, how you keep a touch on each other, and how do you keep a tab with one another through the use of machines and the current computing equipments. So first of all, we'll be looking at in section 7.1 and explain the 5 different networking elements that create a connected world. Moreover, we'll go and identify the benefits and challenges of a connected world. Now, when you're looking at networking elements that creates a connected world, we have 5 of them. We have network protocols, we have network providers, we have network categories, we have network access technologies, and then we have network convergence. Now, in section 7.1, post about 3/4 of section 7.1 will be looking at all these and what they are. Now, some of these terminologies, this may sound very difficult, but as we go around looking at the technology in it, then we'll be able to make much more sense. So in network categories, we have LAN, WAN, and MAN. So these are the different types of wired networks. In network providers, you have ISP, you have ISP, by the way, is Internet Service Provider. So our internet service provider here in Fiji is, we have Vodafone, Fintel, TFL, Digicel, and Ink Mobile. We have KingdomNet as well. Okay, so these are the internet service providers. We have NSP, Network Service Provider, and then you have RSP, which is Regional Service Provider. In network access technologies, we have DALS, we have cable modem and broadband. So these are the technologies which allow us to have internet connectivity. Now, what is a difference between these technologies is generally in terms of the speed at which they transmit data back and forth to a computing device. Network protocols, the word protocol generally means rules or regulations. So network protocols are going to be rules and regulations that allow effective communication between a person or between 2 persons, or moreover between devices. And in it comes TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol, and Internet Protocol. Okay, we have DNS, Domain Name Servers, and then we have DHP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. We'll explain what those are just in a while. Network convergence. The word convergence means you are trying to blend in two different technologies in one. For example, your smartphone is a convergent device. It combines a feature of a phone. It combines a feature of a camera. It combines a feature of an MP3 player. Moreover, it combines features of a television, and it combines features of a computer system for internet browsing. So convergent. Many different types of devices, they are blended in and formed into one. So we have something called as VoIP, voice over internet protocols. You have UC is unified communication, and then you have IPTV, okay, internet protocol television. So we'll have a look at all these devices in broad in the next few slides. First one is network categories. Local area network. So generally there are 3 types of networks. You have LAN, MAN, and WAN. Okay, now we'll read them and then I'll try to explain in simple terms. Local area network, or LAN, connects a group of computers in close proximity, such as in an office, building, school, or home. Wide area network spans a large geographic area, such as a state, province, or country. Metropolitan area network, MAN, a large computer network, usually spanning a city. So the difference between the 3 is the area of coverage they do. Okay, when I say area of coverage, in LAN, for example, it only covers within a building. So LAN is the smallest network. After that, we have MAN, metropolitan. Now, metropolitan is also a network, but instead of within a building, it goes between building. So let's say a lab in FNU Namaka campus is an example of a LAN. Remember, a lab only, and computers connected within the lab. So let's say you are somewhere in, let's say, in one corner of the campus, and your friend is right on the other corner of the campus, but you both are able to play, for example, LAN games, okay? Or you're able to play games. So that is an example of metropolitan area network between buildings, okay? And wide area network is, in simple terms, it is a network that is countrywide or worldwide. So the difference, local network are networks within a building. Metropolitan area network are networks between buildings, and wider network are those networks which are countrywide or worldwide. It covers a largely sparse geographical area. Network providers. So we have national service providers, private companies that own and maintain worldwide backbone that supports the internet. An example would be Vodafone here. Network national service providers are same as ISPs, internet service providers. Network access point, the traffic exchange point in the routing hierarchy of the internet that connects network service providers. Now, if I have to explain this in simple terms, network access points are those places that allows you to switch from one access point to the other. Now, what is access point? Access point is basically a device that allows you to have a continuity of a particular network service. Now, let's say you are using data in your mobile phones. So let's say you're crossing any town. So you are accessing a tower somewhere based in any town. So as you're moving towards, let's say, Sambeto, okay? So in Sambeto, there's also a tower. So what happens is that the tower from which you were accessing the internet, remember from Neni Town, it switches to Sambeto Tower, okay? So the one of the towers in Neni Town is called an access point. The other one in Sambeto is called another network access point. So it seamlessly switches over, okay? Now that is one of the features of mobile network, seamless communication. That means you don't have a feel of when something happens. Now, how does it happen? That's how it is programmed in a network device, okay? So those are network access points. Now, regional service providers, RSPs, offer internet service by connecting to national service providers, but they can also connect directly to each other. So with regional service providers, you're talking about a internet provider that provides you with the internet service in a region. For example, Digicel. It is a regional service provider. Now, not Vodafone. Vodafone only provides internet here in Fiji, not in other South Pacific countries, whereas Digicel is able to do that. Now, Digicel provides it here in Fiji, it provides in Tonga, Samoa, and so forth. So there's an easy connectivity from between these countries. However, with Vodafone, it's only within Fiji. Okay, so regional service provider, if we know a common one over here, it's Fiji. Now you must be thinking there's Vodafone Australia as well. Okay, there's Vodafone New Zealand as well. Yes, there is. Okay, these are all franchise companies, just like Fiji is. Vodafone Fiji is also a franchise company. All right. So and also please do note, there's no Vodafone service in countries like Tonga and Samoa. Digicel owns majority of the networking services, especially mobile networking services. So it's not regional. Network access technologies, bandwidth, the maximum amount of data that can pass through from one point to another in a unit of time. So when we talk about bit, a bit is basically the smallest value at which data can be transferred. The common term is transmitted, okay? Data transmission, that means when we say transmission, that means data is moving back and forth. Somebody's sending it, somebody's receiving it, that's transmission, okay? Now with a bit, bit is the smallest value of data that could be transmitted between devices. Now bit rate is basically the number of bits transferred or received per the unit of time. Bit is basically the data, okay, or the portion of the data. Bit rate is the you are just like counting the number of bits that are sent within a specific time. And modem is basically a device that is used to transmit and receive data. Now the long form for modem is modulator, demodulator. MO is modulator, DEM is demodulator. Now modulator and demodulator, okay, modulator converts analog to digital signals, whereas demodulator converts digital to analog. Now what is analog to digital? For example, previously we used to have this telephone line based internet connectivity. Connect used to provide it, broadband and all those stuffs. Okay, now that was an example of modulation. So the wire that used to come from a TFL post into your house until it connects to a modem, it was an analog signal. The moment it goes inside, as soon as the wire is connected inside the modem, data travels from the posts through the wires into the modem, and then the modem converts that analog signals to digital. Then the digital signal is something that your computer can understand. Now, remember these computers, they work in digital signals, whereas telephone, something in sound, it works in analogous or analog signals. So that's how it used to connect tower to the telephone line inside the modem, convert the analog into digital, and then your computer would actually get internet access. So, and if you want to send the data to somebody else, let's say you are using Facebook, that means you'll need to go and get connected to the tower again, or to the post rather. So from your computer, data travels into the modem, converts it back to analog, and then it travels to that line to the post and connects it all over. So modulator, demodulator. Network access technologies, broadband. Now, broadband is a high-speed internet connection that is always connected. Now, we do still have but broadband here in Fiji. Okay, basically offered by TFL. So they provide you with broadband services. Now, with broadband, you have the following types of technologies. You have DSL, digital subscriber line. You have ICC, internet cable connection, you have high speed internet cable connections, you have cable modems, you have telecommuting, you have broadband over power line. So the broadband over the power line is example that I was telling you earlier, converting analog to digital. Okay, and the common one here that we have here in Fiji is DSL. Okay, that means you have a device connected to your computer. So basically it's a modem. Okay, so that modem allows you to have access to the internet through a wire running through a particular post. Okay, apart from that, most of the technologies has gone out of use because of the cheap and the preferable service that Vodafone Fiji Digicel Inc. provides. Okay, now why people prefer that is because you have internet connection in your mobile phones. If you have a broadband modem, that means you'll need to connect a modem to a power supply all the time, which means if you're using your mobile phones, you can't have internet connection. Okay, if you're using a broadband modem. Network protocols. Okay, protocols, like I've told earlier, these are the rules and the regulations that allows transmission of data. Okay, a standard that specifies the format of data as well as the rules to be followed during transmission. So there are few types of protocols. The first one that we have is TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. It provides a technical foundation for the public internet as well as for large number of private networks. Now, TCP/IP, what it does, it basically is a set of rules that allows you to communicate with the World Wide Web. Okay, for example, once you set up an internet connection at your place, okay, as soon as you type www.google.com, and before Google's website shows up on your screen, it needs to go through the TCP/IP protocol. So the TCP/IP protocol, what it does, it keeps a tab of the IP address of your computer and allows you and gives you access to the website. Okay, likewise, with as soon as the website is browsed on the web browser, if you're able to see it on your web browser, what happens from there is that the TCP/IP is able to show you the contents of that web page. Next one is domain name system. It converts IP addresses into domains. Now, domain name systems, or DNS, sometimes they also call it as DNS server. So what it does, it provides you with a system that converts the IP addresses. IP addresses are sets of numbers. It converts them into domain. To actually list it out, some of the examples of domains would be .com is a domain. Okay, .net is a domain. For example, what else do you have? .info is a domain as well. Okay, .org is also a domain. Now, with the domain, you also have subdomains, .com.fj. Okay. Now, together with the domains, you also have the names, okay, of the companies. For example, facebook.com. So Facebook is using a .com domain. fnu.ac.fj. So .ac is the domain, .fj is the subdomain, and the name of the organization is FNU. All right. Now, network protocols. So when you look at network protocols, we have packet. So packet is generally referred to as the single piece of data that is transferred in a telecommunication line. Okay. So a packet generally has a header, a body, and a footer. And these are called standard packet format. Let me repeat that. A packet is basically an individual set of data that is sent over the network. And it has a header, it has a body, it has a footer. This is called a standard packet format. So packet header and packet footer, we have talked about it. Now, what packet header and packet footer does, it carries information about the data. That means where the data is from which device, and which device it needs to go to. So packet header and footer keeps a tab of that. Now, traceroute is basically, it is a utility program. When we say utility program, it is a supporting program that monitors the network path in which the data is sent. So traceroute, what it does, it is an application, it's a software that keeps a good tab or keeps a track of where the data lives and where it reaches. Okay, and then finally we have proxy. Now, proxy, what it does, it prevents direct communication and monitors packets for security reasons. Proxy is also a software. So what it does, the main reason for having a proxy software in your computer system or within a network is to ensure you have a safe transmission of data from one device to the other, and the communication is very safe. Okay, internet domains. So here we have the list of domains. We have .biz, biz is for business, .com for commercial organizations and businesses, .edu, basically accredited for post-secondary institutions, .gov, okay, reserved for US government agencies. At the moment, it's been used for almost all. So even here in Fiji, .gov.fj, so that's the domain name that is generally given to the governments. .info, that means it is an organization that provides with information. .mil is for military-based organizations. .net, okay, any one person or any entity. Net would mean network, okay, and .org is for non-profit-based organizations. Now, network convergence. Network convergence, the efficient coexistence of telephone, video, and data communication within a single network, providing convenience and flexibility not possible with separate infrastructures. Now, the example of smartphone that I gave, that was an example of a mobile phone convergence. That means features of different devices converged or combined in a mobile phone. So when you talk about network convergence, we're talking about features of different devices in a network-based scenario. The very first one that we have is we have VoIP. I think it's given in the, okay, we can discuss that. We have VoIP, voice over IP. Now, generally, if you have a landline phone at home, so it's connected through a TFL post. Now with VoIP, it's just like you can have a landline based phone, but it's not connected to a landline service. It's connected to your computer. Okay. IPTV, again, this TV is not connected to an antenna. It's connected to your computer system. So the network or the internet connectivity allows the TV to actually do its work. And then we have BORD, that means voice over data. Voice over data, in this case, in Fiji scenario, is not very much practiced. Why? Because we do not use specific kind of voice over data. Instead, we use platforms like Messenger, Viber, or any other IM chatting system that allows you to talk or allows you to have voice-based communications. So if I have to give an example of it, I'll give you an example as Viber or probably Messenger and so forth. Now that's network convergence. Now, unified communication, the integration of communication channels into a single service. Now, this is what was generally practiced in overseas countries only, but Fiji has started doing it through Digicel. Okay, now if you buy a Digicel package, you can watch Sky Pacific. Together with that, you have your internet packaging as well. You have your mobile phone packaging package with it as well. So that's an example of unified communication. So different communications channel. Now, when you say different communications channel, is something like this. With a television, if you're watching TV, Sky Pacific, that's a analog based channel. Remember, I've told you when you look at sound, when you look at videos and all those stuff, these are, especially dealing with sound, it's analog. The moment you start using internet, that's digital data. Okay, and mobile phone again is digital data. Okay, so multiple communication channels integrated into a single service. Now, peer-to-peer, this is a simple type of computer networking. So a computer network that relies on the computer power and bandwidth of the participants in the network rather than a central server. So if I have to make it a picturized version of what peer-to-peer is, imagine this. You have one computer which is directly connected to another computer. So you have a blue cable running between two computers. Okay, so I'm assuming you know what a computer or a network port is. So there's a one single cable, a blue cable connected to the first computer. Let's name it as computer one. So it's plugged in into computers one network port. So computer two network port, the cables the other end is connected to it. And then you configure it such a way so that you are able to share resources between these computers. So if computer one has certain files, so computer two can easily go and access it. Now, this is an example of a peer-to-peer network. Okay, and it is one of the most simplest types of network, however, not to secure it. Now, if not to secure it, why do people use it? Now, why do people use it? Just in case if your computer, let's say you have a computer at home, doesn't have that much of memory and space, and you have another computer, and you do not want to invest money in buying a new set of hardware devices, let's say a new hard disk, what you can do is you can have a peer-to-peer network at the home, at your homes rather, and try to access resources from one computer to another. Voice over IP or VoIP uses IP technologies to transmit telephone calls. Internet protocol TV or IPTV distributes digital video content using IP across the internet and private IP networks, the example that I gave earlier. So with VoIP, you are able to have telephone communications through the use of your computer networks. Same thing with TV, it's connected to a computer network. Benefits of a connected world. So what are some of the advantages or the pros of you living in a connected world? Now, networks offer many advantages to a business, including sharing resources. Now, it's very much possible you can share almost everything from your computer within a network. Okay, how? It could be configured as such, or we call it this access level or giving sharing access, something like that. Now, what sort of resources can you share? For example, if I am in Namaka campus, I can access a computer directly, which is in Nasino campus. Not only the computer, I can go and extracting the files and then use it in my computer at Namaka campus. Forget about that. That's a complicated procedure. Let's look at a simple procedure then. I am here sitting in Nandi at my home. I put all of the notes of CN 708 or materials over a networked e-learning platform, and you are able to use it and take it out and download it from your own homes. Sharing resources is only possible through the use of networks. Now, provides opportunities. In a business point of view, if you have a good network, okay, you can have access to a lot of types of resources and opportunities. First one's first, let's say you own a clothing. Let's look at a simple business. You own a clothing store, clothing retail store. Now over here in Fiji, you're buying it from the local suppliers, and a set of, let's say, a shirt might cost you about $20 and you're selling it to $30. and you realize that your competitor is able to sell a better looking shirt at $25. So that means either they are selling at a very less profit rate, or they are getting it or they are buying the shirt at a much more cheaper cost. Then what you do, go on the web, go to a platform, for example, Alibaba.com. Okay, you can go and order the same set of shirts at a much more cheaper cost. Believe me, if you go and buy things in a mass quantity on Alibaba.com, some of the shirts that you buy here in outlets like Checks or Asnangindas or Harrison's, which they buy it from Chinese outlets in China, okay, through Alibaba.com, or maybe through other platforms, or maybe they are going and handpicking the items. Could be possible, but even if you buy it from Alibaba.com, okay, the shirt that you're buying here for $20, you will get it exactly less than $10. Okay, this is how many businesses make money, and you'll see people are selling those kind of things over social media platforms as well. So where are they getting the items from? Obviously, they're not making it at home because most of the resources are not available here in our localities, but they are able to buy things from in overseas based countries, especially platforms like Alibaba.com. You have AliExpress, you have eBay. AliExpress and eBay might be a bit expensive because most of the sellers on AliExpress and eBay, they buy from Alibaba. Okay, so if you have time, I'm not saying you start up a business, but if you're thinking, have a look at things on Alibaba.com. Okay, the only disadvantage with Alibaba.com is that the shipment cost is quite high, but if you're buying items in mass bulks, or if you're buying item in mass quantities or in bulks, then the individual cost of an item would be quite lower. And thirdly, it reduces traveling. Obviously, now think about it. You here sitting at home, you can have a good feel and have a look at the item that you wish to order from China, and then you don't have to travel. All you have to do is you order it online and it comes to you. Now, if you feel that you're not so satisfied with the picture they give, you can always go and contact the seller and ask them to give the non-edited or non-filtered images. Some of them will do, some of them who don't buy it from them. Okay. Sharing resources. The primary resources for sharing include, you have internet, you have extranet, you have virtual private networks. Now, internet are those networks that are only used within the organization. For example, we have some softwares here in FNU which are only used within the FNU networks, and we call them as intranet. For example, software such as we have a software called Premium, in which we actually go and upload your results, your marks, and everything goes up there. Okay, so that is used only within the organization, within FNU. Extranet is opposite of intranet. So this is a network that can be accessed within and also outside the organization. Example, Moodle. Okay, so you can access it within the FNU network, and you can also access it outside FNU's network. And then you have another kind of network, which is called a virtual private network. A virtual private network is a secured path, or it is a secured network line that is formed between two sets of organizations. So what organization does, it establishes a direct private network link among themselves. Okay, so the two organizations. So this link is whereby there's no other people using that particular network. It's only organization 1 and organization 2 and no one else. So if a certain form of data needs to be transferred, so it's a virtual private network. Virtual means it does not exist in real, it exists only on the web, okay, and it's a private network. So how do they secure it? They secure it through the use of public encryption keys or private encryption keys, and through a lot of authentication methods. Challenges of a connected world. Networks create a diverse, globally connected world, eliminating time and distance, which makes it possible to communicate in ways not previously imaginable. Very true, right? Nobody ever thought that we could have online classes whereby the teacher would be seated at home, the students at their homes, and then we are having classes as normal. Okay, nobody thought of it. I think COVID-19 played a major role, And like they say, so everything happens for a good reason, right? So yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities with networks now, but there are other things as well. For example, even though networks provide many business advantages, they also create increased challenges in security. Security as in people are normally hacked, passwords are misused, okay, people are stalked and so forth. We have social issues, we have ethical issues and political issues which goes together with it. Now social issues are something that is related to societies. For example, if somebody does something, so that person is discriminated and extremely scrutinized over the web or over certain platforms, okay. Sometimes people do right, sometimes people do wrong, okay. It does not mean it gives the ability to other people to judge them. For example, if I would do something wrong, okay, let's say I've done something wrong, but it doesn't give right to others to judge me, does it? No, eh? So likewise over here, social issues, okay. Ethical issues, the difference, ethics means the difference between right and wrong in terms of a moral manner. So whether you're doing something right or wrong, let's say somebody forgets his or her USB flash drive in a lab, so you go and plug in their flash drive after you found it, and then you try to see all their files, see all the images. Let's say the person has some form of some images with his or her partner and so forth, so you go and see it. Those are ethical issues. Like political issues, you know what political issues are. If you are not so well aware of it, go on Facebook and then see all the political issues that are arising on these platforms. Now previously these things didn't exist. I remember when I was a student, not in university but probably in high school, Facebook was just introduced. This is about 2005 2006, somewhere around that, okay. So Facebook was just released or introduced. Hardly anyone was on Facebook, and we didn't have all these things coming up. So I'm not saying Facebook is bad. Actually, it's a very good platform. Look at the amount of businesses that have opted to close their shops and start operating on Facebook only. Very good platform, but people tend to misuse it. Okay, so these are some of the issues that come up: security, social, ethical, and political issues in a connected world. Now, when we talk about security, we have some form of security measures for connected world or for connected networks. First of all, we have a SSL certificate. SSL means secured socket layer. So what it does, it basically, it provides a layer of security, an electronic document that confirms the identity of a website or server and verifies that a public key belongs to a trustworthy individual or company. Now, SSL certificates are generally used by business owners who release their websites. And let's say if their website's taking certain amount of payments, or it has a payment engine is those credit card processing platforms, or it has a booking engine. Booking engine is an example whereby a website is like a hotel website and allows you to book hotel rooms and so forth. Okay, if it's a payment, if it has a booking engine, if it has a payment engine, SL certificates are a must rather. Why? Because it allows safe transmission of data between the customer and the organization. And also it gives a sense of security. So if I have to process my credit card on a particular website, I will first of all go and see whether there's an SSL certificate or not. So how do I know whether it has an SSL certificate? So to know whether it has an SSL certificate is the next point over there. Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTPS, a combination of HTTP and SSL to provide encryption and secure identification of an internet server. In other words, or in simple terms, if a website has a website address http www.abc.com, that website does not has a secure socket layer, does not have a SSL certificate. An organization whereby the website address is https www.abc.com, it's secured. Why? HTTPS. Okay, I don't know if you've ever noticed that we have a http forward slashes and then www.facebook.com, something like that. Do notice it next time. So wherever there is no S in HTTP, it's not secure. It does not have a secured socket layer. Now, in some organizations or in some websites, you don't need an SSL certificate. For example, if your web page is just about showing a menu of a restaurant, I don't think you need an SSL certificate because you're not processing any form of payment. So why have a SSL certificate? What do people hack from there? There's nothing to hack. Okay, the entire information is on the web. The most they will do is they will go and probably copy and paste your content, a paragraph or two. So let them do what they want to do with it. They are not going to steal money in any particular way. The only time you have a SSL certificate is when you are processing payment. So how do you go around getting an SSL certificate? You need to buy it from a SSL provider. So a very good example is we have VeriSign, VERISIGN. VeriSign is an organization that provides you with a SSL certificate. There are many more. Okay, so they provide you with a secured layer or the additional security with your website. Now, digital divide, okay, very much common here in Fiji. A worldwide gap giving advantage to those with access to technology. Now, I don't know if you ever felt it or not. I feel it a lot of times, or most of the times, that the way we have access to technology here in Fiji is not even 1/10 of what they have in countries like Australia or New Zealand. Now, with their economy having an advantage over Fiji's economy, they have access to technology way more faster. For example, look around here in the country, how many people actually have iPhones? How many people actually have Samsung S series mobile phones? Very little. Okay, close to, but if you have to do counting, less than 200 in the entire country. Why? Because people can't afford it. Okay, whereas if you look at in other countries like America, people don't know what Samsung Galaxy A02 or what Samsung Galaxy A12s or Samsung Galaxy A50s is. They don't know all those things. Why? Because they can afford S series, and for them, it's just like about 1 or 2 days of salary to buy it. Okay, so there's a lot of digital divide. Digital divide meaning a gap between with those advantage group which has access to certain type of technology compared to the one who does not have it. Even here in Fiji, we have set of people who have who are well technology enabled, whereas others are not. Now, for example, you have a phone, you have a laptop, you can access internet 24/7. You go out into the islands, there are some children who have never seen a laptop. There are some children out there who have never used a smartphone, who have never taken a photograph of a mobile phone. Okay, so digital divide. Section 7.2, mobility. The word mobility means movement. Okay, how mobile you are. Okay, that's why we have mobile phones, moving phones, the phones that moves with you. Okay, so in talk of mobility, normally you're talking about wireless network. So explain the different wireless network categories, explain the different wireless network business applications. So wireless networks, first one you have PAN, and then you have wireless LAN, wireless MAN, and wireless WAN. Okay, I'll explain PAN first of all. PAN, in simple terms, is a network that is created within a short distance. For example, I have 4 members in my house. All 4 members make use of the internet, okay, or they want to use internet. So what I do is I only recharge one phone. Okay, let's say I would recharge one phone, $25 per month, 125 GB or something that Vodafone provides, and then I do mobile hotspot. Okay, so all the 4 mobile phones are able to connect to each other through that hotspot, and they are able to use internet. Now that is an example of a personal area network, you having an internet connection within the house. Now some of you might be having a Wi-Fi or wireless modem within your house, and through the use of that wireless modem you are able to access internet. Okay, that's an example of PAN. Now wireless LAN, these are networks within a building but in wireless means. Very much similar to LAN, but LAN is wired. WLAN is wireless. Now, WMAN is also metropolitan area network. That means networks between buildings, but in wireless means. Likewise, the last one that you have is wireless WAN. These are networks which are countrywide or worldwide, but connected through wireless means. Now, if you look at LAN, how does LAN allow you to connect wireless through wirelessly rather, through routers, through wireless routers, through wireless access points. Wireless MAN, again, through wireless routers or wireless access point. A very good example of wireless MAN is what we have in FNU, access point. Now, so if you'll be walking in any of the FNU campuses, you'll see white circular devices connected on the ceilings, okay? Or probably somewhere around the building. So those are access points. So these devices allow you to connect to the internet and have access to Wi-Fi. Now, wireless WAN is an example of what we have with the mobile phones. So how does it connect? It connects through the towers, the microwave dish-based towers that are located in separate, they're located in different locations within the country. And through the transmission of signals from those towers, you're able to have access to the internet or network. Now, PAN, personal area networks, we've talked about it, okay? Bluetooth is wireless PAN technology that transmits signals over short distance between cell phones, computers, and other devices. I'm sure all of you know what Bluetooth is. Basically, it uses a wireless technology, okay? But in very short distance. So when I say short distance, you're looking at about within 3 to 5 meters range, sometimes a bit less or sometimes a bit more compared to the type and the ability of the device that you have. Wireless LAN, we've just talked about it. Now, wireless fidelity, most of you know this in short called as Wi-Fi. So a means by which portable device can connect wirelessly to a local area network using access points that send and receive data via radio waves. So Wi-Fi, basically it uses access points that gives you access to a network, okay? We have Wi-Fi's all around FNU campuses. We have it in a lot of public places as well. With the compliments of the Fijian government, you are provided Digital Fiji's free Wi-Fi access, which is amazing, okay? Now, I do want to make it a bit known here. In my times when we were studying, okay, we didn't have Wi-Fi's, okay? We had internet connections in labs only, in computing labs only. So I think it's a very good privilege that the Fijian government has provided us with having internet connection in all the FNU campuses. Now, if you go to USP, I've studied at USP as well. So if you would study through USP, I don't think the entire campus is covered with Wi-Fi. There are some places which are not covered, but USP Lodala campus is quite huge. Okay, it's quite big in size. If you look at USP Lautoka campus, they do have access to Wi-Fi in certain levels. So the building is about 4 or 5 levels, 4 levels, yeah. So I think in some of the levels they have Wi-Fi access, in some levels they don't. Okay, so good initiative, and I think we should feel privileged that we are getting access to these things. FOC. Access point, a computer or a network device that serves as an interface between devices and a network. So what happens with access point is this. You are accessing a network, okay? And as soon as you step outside the zone, so you have a device which allows to reconnect to another zone, so that existing and reconnecting to the zone is not known by the user. Okay, this is what we call it a seamless communication. Now, seamless communication is like you are able to jump from one network to the other without the user even knowing it. Okay, so access points provide you with those kind of capabilities. So let's, for example, let's think of Namangka campus, since this course is offered in Namangka campus. Okay, so as soon as you step into the lobby area, I think there's one access point right where you enter the steps. When you're entering the lobby area, one access point on top. So as soon as you're moving around, where the cafeteria is, you have one access point right in front of that. And then you have another access point somewhere where the tables are. And then another right in front of the library. So those wide devices which are connected to the ceilings, okay? So those are access points. So what does it do? It allows you to connect to the internet, or allows you to connect to the network, in other words. Now, wireless access points, okay, so this is the difference. You have access points and then you have wireless access points. What you're seeing in FNU Namaka campus, these are wireless access points. Why wireless? They allow you to connect to devices through wireless means, okay? Whereas access points, just plain access points, they would allow you to do so, but the use of wired networks only. Now, multiple in and multiple out technology, multiple transmitters and receivers, allowing them to send and receive greater amounts of data than traditional networking devices. A very good example of multiple in and multiple out technology is a computer switch. A computer switch allows a network to have multiple devices connecting in, sending devices, and multiple devices to receive data at the same time. So multiple in, multiple out technologies, a very good example is a network switch. Wireless MAN, or wireless metropolitan area network. So in metropolitan area network, you are able to have a network that allows you to connect between buildings. So wireless MAN would be wireless means of connecting between buildings. So how do you do that? Access points, okay, through access points, preferably. Sometimes if you have a very large area that allows you to have a wireless MAN network, you may even use microwave dishes to do so. So worldwide interoperability for microwave access, or we call it as WiMAX, a communications technology aimed at providing high-speed wireless data over metropolitan area networks. So this particular device here, WiMAX devices, okay, they work in wireless metropolitan area network. So what it does, it allows you to have connection between buildings in a very large area. For instance, let me give an example. FNU Namaka campus, is it that far? Okay, yeah, it could be far. Have a look at this. So you have your GP lab in Namaka campus, which is somewhere near the fences, okay? And you have the aviation department, which is right on the other side. You cannot have a simple access point connecting from one end to the other. So that's why you might need a WiMAX device. So WiMAX device is very much similar to a wireless router, okay, but with more capabilities. So wireless WAN. So wireless WAN is whereby you are wirelessly able to connect and create a network which are countrywide or worldwide. And how do you do that? You use it normally through the forms of radio signals or waves. Okay. Now, how do we get that? Basically, it's the use of towers. Towers, I think you should be able to know what towers are. You must have seen those red Vodafone towers, or in let me see, where have I seen a tower? Okay, here in Namaka, just opposite Budget Pharmacy, and that in that line you have TFL towers on the opposite side. Those are towers. Now towers, they are just frame structures, but what is the working component, or what is the actual component, is those white dishes. So we call them as microwave dish. So these dishes, they actually transmit regular signals, and they provide cellular signals so that people are able to connect to them and therefore connect to the networks. It's quite amazing. Why amazing? Because these microwave dishes, they allow thousands and thousands of devices to connect at once. Now, some dishes, okay, the technology is such as some dishes may be powerful than the other, depending on the ones that are actually being installed. So it totally depends on the organization. Sometimes you'll notice is that if an internet service provider, for example, Vodafone, if they're switching over from 4G to 5G, so they will go and do amendments to their towers. So why they do it? So that they can allow transmission, a faster transmission. Smartphone, okay, I don't need to explain what smartphones are. You have it there with you, you know what they are. So we have 3G, okay. Now, before we look at 3G, okay, let's look at 2G. We didn't have 1G, we had 2G, 3G, 4G, now we're sitting at 5G. So 2G is basically the second generation of the network connection. Okay, so when you're looking at 2G, the top speed in 2G would have been about 0.3 megabits per second. And the average speed at which we were able to access it in our devices were 0.1 megabits per second. And then came in 3G. So 3G brought in broadband into the country. So with broadband in a country, the top speed of 3G would have been 42 megabits per second. And the amount of speed that we were actually able to access it in our devices, we're averaging it up to 8 megabits. Then technology grew and we stepped into 4G. With 4G, the top speed was 1 gigabits per second. And the average at which we were actually able to access it in our devices was 10 to 20 megabits per second. And this is what we are accessing it in our devices right now. Now, 5G, Vodafone is currently working on it, but they have not introduced it. I think TFL has introduced it or were supposed to introduce it. I'm not so sure whether it's effective or not. But with 5G, so the top speed in Australia for 5G is about 10 gigabits per second. Okay, and it will average to close to about 30 to 50 megabits per second. Okay, now our technology, internet technology, is quite faster and then it's quite fast and as cheap as what is in countries like Australia and US. Our internet connection is quite cheaper here in Fiji. Okay, and I think we owe it a lot to our current government for providing us with such privileges because they have pulled down the prices to a such stable rate. Okay. Now, streaming, a method of sending audio and video files over the internet. You are well aware of streaming if you watch YouTube videos. Okay, so you know what streaming is about. Okay, you actually watching videos over a platform, a networked platform. Satellite, okay, a space station that orbits the Earth, receiving the transmitted signals from air-based stations over a wide area. So satellites, these satellites are above Earth, they are in space zone. So from there, we are able to access certain materials. For example, if you have ever watched, I don't know if you've ever gone through Google Maps or not, go through it once or twice, go and see the satellite view, you will be directly accessing things from the satellite, which is above Earth. Now, satellites, there are three types. We have LEO, MEO, and GEO. Okay, so LEO is low orbit, MEO is medium orbit, and GEO is geostationary orbit. So these are the three different satellites which are in our space. Now, how many satellites are there altogether? Uncountable. Okay, one satellite, to actually create a satellite, it would cost millions of dollars. You won't believe it. There's close to about 1,000+ satellites in the space, and each of them for separate reasons. For example, if you are doing something for like GPS connection and so forth, we'll use a geostationary Earth orbit satellite. Okay, so those are some of the types of satellites that we actually have. And if you have sometimes quite interesting, go over the web, search on the different types of satellites and see what they assist you with. Now you'll be quite surprised that every day you end up using a satellite in one way or the other. Do go over the web and research more about it. Now, protecting wireless connections. To protect your wireless connections or to protect your wireless network, you need some measures. And there are some easy methods and there are some expensive and difficult methods to actually secure your data. The first easy one is a wired equivalent privacy. Now, this is an example of a encryption algorithm designed to protect wireless transmission data. And a very good example is a username and password that we generally have. Now, wall choking. Okay, wall choking is the practice of tagging pavement with codes displaying where Wi-Fi is accessible. So if you're walking through any of the FNU campuses and you see a board which says free Wi-Fi or probably Wi-Fi zone, something like that, there's an example of wall choking. Now, war driving is deliberately searching for Wi-Fi signals while driving in a vehicle. So what you're doing is you're trying to search for any sort of Wi-Fi connectivity while you're driving, which is dangerous, by the way. Now, business applications for wireless networks. In other words, where are wireless networks used? They're used in radio frequency identification. They're used in GPS, global positioning systems. They're also used in geographic information systems. So we'll go and discuss more on those. So radio frequency identification, or RFID, uses electronic tags and labels to identify objects wirelessly over short distances. Have you ever been to Jack's? Okay, and let's say you bought a shirt, and just in case the cashier forgot to take out that white device. Now that device is an example of an RFID based device. So what it does, it has a chip inside it. Okay, so as soon as you try to work out, so you'll see a machine or probably two devices, the receivers of the RFID codes. So the receivers will read the signals and start beeping. Okay, RFID, simple way in which I can explain to you, in simple way in which you can remember. RFID, what it does, it uses a tag and labels to identify an object. Now, RFID tag an electronic identification device that is made up of a chip and an antenna. So that white device that you generally see, it has a chip inside it. So the reader, the second part, or RFID interrogator, a transmitter or receiver that reads the contents of RFID tags in the area. So the chip that you see, okay, the white device in Jack's, they have it in Estanguidas and Harrison's as well. I'm not so sure. I think Estanguidas has it. Normally when you go and buy something, they'll take out the chip. Okay, so as soon as you will go and try to step out, okay, it will definitely go and beep. Why? Because the reader reads it and alerts it based on the command. Now we also have something similar in our libraries as well. Now in our library, we have a RFID reader, which is quite big in size. So if you step over it, and if it reads the tag, it will start beeping. Okay. Global Positioning Systems, GPS, a satellite-based navigation system providing extremely accurate position, time, and speed information. So GPS, Global Positioning System. Now you are able to access it using Google Maps. You can also have GPS-based devices configured into your cars. So it needs to be powered in your car. How does it get powered? So you can use extended wires in your motor vehicles. Plug in the device, it gets powered on. A SIM card is inside the GPS device, so it needs to be activated. Once it's activated through the use of an app in your mobile phone, you can always go and see where your vehicle is, what speed it is running at, and so many other information. Okay. Automatic vehicle location uses GPS tracking to track vehicles. So this is the device that I was talking about. Now GPS is basically the satellite technology. Okay, so GPS device is called an automatic vehicle location based device. Now GIS, or Geographic Information System, consists of hardware, software, and data that provide location information for display on a multi-dimensional map. So when you talk about GIS, this is basically related to geographical based software. It also has hardware in it as well, okay, different types of devices. So what it does, it provides information on a specific geographical location. Now, where does these kind of softwares are used? If you would ever go to a TLTV office, okay, and then if you try to locate a specific area, they use a GIS device to actually go and see that specific location. Another place where you see the GIS device, very recent one, your COVID-19 dashboard, and the places where the victims, the people who are infected with COVID-19, they are plotted in. Now that is a GIS software again. If you haven't seen it, do go and see it. Cartography, the science and art of making an illustrated map or chart. Now, cartography, what happens is basically you make an electronic map of a specific area and plot certain elements. GIS map automation links businesses assets to a centralized system where they can be tracked and monitored over time. It's just like what TLTB does. Okay, so let's say there's a specific area owned by a specific Tikina, Tikina, I think that's what they call it. Okay, so what they do is, let's say a certain area is sold to specific persons. The entire area is marked on the GIS system. So GIS map automation. Spatial data or geospatial data or geographic information identifies the geographic location of features and boundaries on Earth, such as natural or constructed features, oceans, and more. Okay, a very common example is Google Maps. If you would go and see things on Google Maps, you have two views. First one, you have the spatial view, and the other one, you have satellite view. So the spatial view will show a drawing of all the areas, whereas a satellite view will actually show you the actual thing, okay, what it looks like from above. So what you're seeing in a spatial view is these are, it seems like hand drawing, but it's not. Okay, it's software generated. Geocoding, a spatial database coding process that assigns a digital map feature an attribute that serves as a unique ID or classification. So again, geocoding is part of a geospatial data, so it keeps track of all the places which have been marked on the spatial map. Location-based services, applications that use location information to provide a service. Okay, now we have quite a bit of businesses here in Fiji which uses location-based information to provide a service. For example, most of our hotels and tourism, they use a lot of location-based information to provide a service. How? So based on their locations that they are in, okay, they go and pick up tourists. Okay, now it's very much common in countries whereby they have a map or GPS systems installed in their motor vehicles, so it becomes easy to track. However, you can also use it here in Fiji. You don't even need a GPS based system and a monitor to display you the maps. You can have it done in your mobile phone. So the use of Google Maps, plot in and locate where you are, choose your destination, it will guide you through. So benefits of business mobility. So it enhances mobility. It makes it easy for you to access from one location to the other. Okay, provides immediate data access. Very true. For example, with mobility, we have mobile phones. So if you need to access data, any form of data, emails, or even social media and so forth, it gives you that immediate access to it. It increases location and monitoring capability. How? To the use of GPS services. If you have CCTV cameras installed in your houses, and if you wish to monitor it, you can get an app installed, and then you can monitor it from anywhere, provided you have internet access. Improves workflow. Yes, it does. How does it improve workflow? For instance, if you would be working in an office space scenario, usually you're using a PC. But if you are stepping out for a meeting and then you want to get your work carried with you, you can have a laptop. Okay, you can have internet access, you can have things on a smartphone even, and get work going while you're going for a meeting outside the normal office space. Provides mobile business opportunities. Yes, it does. How? Look at how things are getting sold on social media. Okay, every day you have new products coming in, getting sold on Facebook, Instagram, or even Pinterest and so forth. Okay, and many people, they have become quite fond with selling things or marketing things on social media. We have something called as social media influencers. Well, these people, they share their daily lives on social media and make money out of it. So that's business. Okay, provides alternative to wiring. Just imagine if you have to do some work and then you carry wires with you, or just imagine, okay, don't carry wires. If you have to do some work and you do not have a portable computing device, So that means you won't be able to do your work unless and until you have a computer system in front of you. So what happens is overall your workflow stops, okay? And yeah, it causes a lot of problems. Imagine this, just in case, imagine the current scenario, okay? You are able to have attend your classes from almost anywhere. All you need to do is have Zoom in your smartphones or in your mobile phones. You can sit near the beach, you can be in a restaurant, you can be anywhere in your homes, sitting under the tree and so forth, and able to have access to your classes and to your materials from the Webland page. Okay, so provides a lot of alternatives compared to the wiring. Now, challenges. Some of the common challenges of wireless networks is basically protecting against theft. Example, mobile devices are more vulnerable to theft due to their small size. Okay, yes, very true. It goes missing very quickly, your mobile phones. Okay, moreover, not just mobile phones, you're talking about mobile devices. So your iPods, your apart from your iPods, you have those fitness trackers, smartwatches, you have your laptops, you have your netbooks, iPads, tablets, and so forth. These are all examples of mobile devices, and there's a lot of tendency of it being getting lost or it being stolen. Protecting wireless connections. You need good wireless connections, but apart from that, you need good wireless encryption techniques. The best method is to the use of username and password, and keep on changing it on a regular basis. Preventing viruses on mobile devices. Mobile devices are not immune to viruses and need to be protected. Okay, even your smartphones need to be protected. That's why you shouldn't be accessing a lot of unknown websites on your mobile phones. Prevent from clicking on unknown links in emails if you're accessing through your mobile phones, and so forth. And if you want to protect the device, install a antivirus program. Okay, free ones you can do it. Okay, it will provide you a certain extent of protection as well. Moreover, addressing privacy concerns with RFID and location-based devices. For example, both RFID and location-based services have the ability to share where someone is, which can cause privacy concerns. If in wrong hands, okay, if your devices are in wrong hands, they can very easily track things. For example, if somebody knows the username and password for your mobile device, or if you're, let's say your mobile device is not password enabled, if somebody is able to have access to it, you have CCTV cameras installed at your home, what the person can do is they can misconfigure it or deliberately configure in such a way so that the system goes down and goes and steals in your house. It is possible. Okay, so these are some of the challenges that we have in wireless networks, and there's so much more. If with wireless network, there's always a prone of disruption while you're trying to access the network. If there's bad weather, the network goes down. Moreover, if there's any upgrades or anything, okay, the network goes down again. And another thing, another sort of disadvantage is that over interdependence on devices. You get overly dependent on wireless devices, and when it is not available, there are certain amount of work that you're not able to continue or do. Okay, so in that cases, the over dependence on wireless devices is also a challenge. Okay, imagine this: how many of you can live without your smartphone for a month, for a week, probably a few days? It's getting difficult now because we are so prone to it. And another major thing that I wanted to mention on challenges of wireless devices is health risks. The more wireless devices you have, the more form of radiation you are spreading. Okay, if you have about 5 or 6 mobile phones in your home, okay, let's keep it to minimum 2 or 3 mobile phones. You are allowing your phones to give out that many amount of radiation, causing health risks. You're causing a lot of strains to your eye because people normally do a lot of things on mobile phones. For example, watch movies 1.5 to 2 hours, be on social media for hours and hours. Okay, you are accessing your mobile phones with low light based rooms. So normally, if you are in a room, you're using a computing device, the brightness of your device should be less than the room light. That means the room light should be more and the brightness of your mobile device should be less. So if it's the other way around, you're causing a lot of problems to your eyes. Okay, so these are some of the common challenges that we have with wireless devices or wireless networks. And that finishes up the lecture notes for today. This is an interesting set of lecture notes. Please do go and read it again and try to understand the concepts. Those of you who are coming from a non-IT based scenario, or if you have little knowledge on information technology and about these things that we have discussed, please do read it over and again just to learn more about them. And these are some of the common things that we use on a daily basis. Okay, is there any questions or any queries from anyone? No, if no questions or no queries, thank you very much for hopping in and for being attentive in the class. I hope you have learned something new, and take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all on Friday. So goodbye, everyone. Thank you.